How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Sports Nerds in the Morning. I'm Dominic Stern. Today I'm joined by
Josh Golden
and Milad Gaimi.
And today we will be talking about Week 1 of March Madness and how it's kind of chalky, quite a bit of upsets, 7-10, 8-9, 6-11 upsets.
Saw a couple 12s.
Yeah, 3 12s on Thursday and Friday, but then Saturday and Sunday were kind of disappointing. Every single team that was favored in Vegas won, and that included one upset, which was Auburn over Kansas, and it was a blowout. So, what did we think of the first couple games, couple days of March Madness?
Well, yes, it was obviously very chalky, like we said, but there were still some spectacular games. There was the close call with Duke against UCF. There was Tennessee somehow managing to blow a 25-point lead against Iowa, which was one of the most stressful basketball watching experiences of my entire life.
We're not even Tennessee fans.
I just had so much on that one. I needed that. There was the Auburn and New Mexico State game. That one was stressful. We were watching that in class on Thursday. That one was pretty exciting. And there were some other great ones as well. It was still a great first few days of the tournament, but it wasn't really as unpredictable as we've seen in previous years.
Yeah, I mean, we're all in the same bracket pool, seeing everyone with Duke, UNC in the championship or whatever. It's just
very creative.
Yeah,
it's not fun.
It's not fun. Last year there was a lot more surprises. Again, Loyola Chicago was a team that came out of nowhere. Virginia got upsetted. Yeah, 16 seed won. This year it has been a little bit boring, but I must say the games have been close. I go back to Yale, LSU. That was a really close game to the wire. New Mexico State, Auburn would have killed it for me. That came down to the wire. So I think it's going to be much more exciting in this Elite Eight with regards to possible upsets. I mean, I guess it's not going to be all number one seeds in the Final Four, so that'll be interesting. But
yeah, we all had some upset picks that we were all pretty excited about. Dom with Nevada, Milad with Villanova, and me with Buffalo. We all got kind of disappointed with our teams there. Especially, I wasn't with them when they were watching those games, but they saw me while I was watching that Buffalo game. I was getting pretty upset there.
Yeah, it was pretty funny because Milad and Josh, they were over at my house at an upgraded Buffalo Wild Wings.
He's got a nice 2 TVs going up over there. It's very nice.
Yeah, so we had fun watching those games. Milad came over with a couple minutes left in the UCF game, and we watched the disappointment that was the refs blowing. Well, Duke,
before we get into this game, I'd like to very, very, very clearly state that RJ Barrett pushed off when he got that rebound to put
correct.
the game.
No one's talking about that. Everyone's talking about the charge and then the foul.
Very,
and
very
fall.
clearly. Go look at the highlight. RJ Barrett very, very clearly pushed off.
Yes, and that was one of the 4 50-50 plays in the last 10 seconds that went Duke's way. And 3 of them were controlled by the refs, and it's frustrating. Obviously, we're not going to take away anything from what Duke's done this season and what they're still capable of doing, but if one of those 4 plays goes UCF's way, they win, and that's March Madness. Yeah. That's what March Madness is. And that's why everyone loves it. That's why people lose hundreds of thousands of dollars every year on it. And it's fantastic. It was entertaining, but UCF should have beat Duke.
Yeah.
Every single person who watched that.
And I'll be honest, Iowa should have beat Tennessee also.
Correct.
Yeah, I agree.
Tennessee should have just killed them.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. But considering what went down, Iowa should have beat Tennessee.
And New Mexico State should have beat Auburn, too.
Correct.
Oh, man.
So, everyone who watched that game knew that UCF should have beat Duke, including my math teacher, who was a Duke fan. And I even
Keening, we don't need to hear it.
That alley-oop confused me as well, because, obviously you want the highlight play. I feel like the dunks are momentum swings, but I just can't understand it. You have a wide-open fast break. I see a lot of guys in college, take it themselves, the Euro steps big, switching angles of the basketball. But just to throw it up, just come down with protect the basketball. That's huge for me. And I felt like that play, obviously, a lot of stuff happened after it, but
getting the highlight doesn't win basketball games. Points wins basketball games.
I felt like that was a momentum swing, but
yeah,
it's tough for UCF.
Okay, so let's talk about our brackets. So we're all in the same bracket pool as Milad hinted at earlier. Milad, what do you like your chances to win our bracket?
So here's a funny thing. Dom, Josh, myself, or Alon and myself all have Gonzaga, Tennessee in the finals.
Let's first start off by the fact that on Friday, I literally eliminated Elon from winning. We had 9 potential possible points different when the tournament even started. 7 different round 1 games and 1 different Sweet 16 team. I eliminated him on Friday with UCI beating Kansas State, and now Elon can't win. Continue.
So
just like to bring that up.
So for me, I'm confident in Gonzaga winning this tournament. Okay, I like Gonzaga, Tennessee. I like the matchup because I think what all of us thought similarly was everyone's picking Duke, UNC. Let's pick the third team. Can't trust Virginia. So it was either Gonzaga or Tennessee. Gonzaga is the team that I sided with along with you guys.
Well, I have Gonzaga in our pool, yes, but in another pool I have Tennessee. So I'm really banking on either one there. I really, really don't know who would win if Gonzaga were to face Tennessee. I've been so high on Gonzaga all year, as you all know, but I just love the way Tennessee's playing. They really, really look like the team that can get it done. At this point, I don't really care who wins between the two of them. I just love to see it happen.
Yeah, and I mean, so again, between the 4 of us, Duke, Tennessee, Gonzaga, all common in the Final Four. The one thing where things shift is you guys have Kentucky in your Final Four. I have Auburn in my Final Four.
Correct. So but I have Auburn beating North Carolina, and Dom does not.
I have UNC beating Auburn in the Sweet 16. I sat on my computer staring at that game for about 30 minutes Wednesday night, and I'm like, do I change it? And
that was one of the hard ones.
Yeah. And I said, no, I'm just gonna ride with it. Yeah. I'm gonna ride with it because first off, it's hard to pick against number 1 seed, and every single time you pick against them to lose a game outside of the Elite Eight, it's always very, very risky.
Yep.
And first off, I didn't have the balls to do it.
Yeah.
Second off, I decided, I'm like, okay, New Mexico State is still a very good team.
Oh, yeah.
And I think they have a shot at beating Auburn. So the
further they did. They very much did.
So the further I put them, the more at risk I am of losing points automatically if they lose their first round game. So I decided to keep UNC beating Auburn in the Sweet 16, but losing to Kentucky, which I think will happen if PJ Washington plays. He will be on 2 weeks rest. He's the best big man in the country.
Correct.
And I have faith in PJ and the surrounding
cast. If PJ plays, not even do I think they will beat Houston and Auburn or UNC, whoever they play. Don't be surprised if they even make a run in the Final Four.
Yeah.
PJ is good. He is really, really good. They got Tyler Harris shooting, Keldon Johnson as well. Reed Travis is insane. This is a spectacular basketball team, and they could pull something off.
Yeah, it's crazy because Kentucky's flown under the radar this year, which you normally don't hear people saying Kentucky has flown under the radar, but they've been overshadowed by Duke, UVA, UNC, even Tennessee, which is crazy because Kentucky's run the SEC for so long now, but they've flown under the radar. They're not picked by that many to win, and in fact, in our bracket pool, only one person has
My
Kentucky.
Sister picked them. She basically placed a 30-1 bet on Kentucky winning the national championship. I gotta admit, one of the proudest moments I've ever had as a brother. Not gonna lie. Continue.
So, for me, I've been saying it. I've been harassing Dom and Josh about this the past 2 days. Auburn is gonna kill me, or it's gonna catapult me to first place, and I'm very nervous about this game because, like Dom said, UNC is the number 1 seed. Luke May, they got a bunch of guys on that roster that can play. They did good against Washington. Washington had a little bit of an early jump. They handled it perfectly and they won big. For me, if Auburn goes to the Final Four, I get first place assuming Gonzaga and Tennessee play. I'd really like that to happen, but I just want to clinch in the top 3, so I really need Auburn to beat UNC in this game, and I think it's going to be a really close one. It's going to be a nail biter, but I have faith in Bruce Pearl. I have faith in Bryce Brown. I have faith in those guys to hit their threes and come out to an early lead.
think this is by far the most intriguing matchup of the Sweet 16.
I agree with you.
I don't even think it's close, and I think when you look at this matchup, North Carolina clearly has the advantage down low with Luke May down there and Cameron Johnson also being able to grab some rebounds. But you look at Auburn's guards with Jared Harper and Bryce Brown. they're just spectacular, and these kids can shoot. They have made 12+ threes in 7 consecutive games, and those were games in the SEC tournament and in the March Madness against teams like Kansas and Tennessee and Florida, and they're playing really, really well right now. They're looking really hot. This is the team that you can look at and say, this is that team that no one was really watching, that got hot at the right time, and they're going to make a run. We see it every couple of years.
Yep.
We haven't seen it too much recently, and I think we're due for one. I think it could be Auburn.
And, to your point, I also think the guards do a great job of driving to the basket.
Correct.
I think that's something they do great. So my hope, personally, I don't know how likely this is, my hope is, first off, I love watching Auburn play in the fast break. Their fast break is just so good.
Fastest guard. This is going to be one fast basketball game.
And another thing is, coaches stress all the time. Let's inbound the ball quick, and let's catch the ball deep. Let's not catch the ball, let's not walk right to the inbounder and just catch it and then sprint, right? Auburn does a great job of that. They're getting to their three-point line quick in about, 4 seconds. That's quick for their team. My thing is, if these guards, Bryce Brown and so forth, Jared Harper, get to the basket and they cause foul trouble for UNC. They do have depth off the bench, but I'd really like to see Auburn play UNC's hand, force foul trouble. I'd like their big men to do better than they're expected to do, overperform, and man, this is my favorite game by far of the options we have.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are talking about the Auburn guards, which you should, because that's where their strength is, but you can't talk about UNC without talking about Kobe White and their other guards.
Kobe White is really something
UNC
special.
guards.
But before we talk about Kobe White, you can't talk about Kobe White without addressing the fact that kid needs a haircut.
Yes, 100%.
Okay?
I said that last week.
Let's just set the record straight. This kid needs a haircut.
He needs
more
a haircut.
than anyone in the world.
And you know what? Maybe he'll get his haircut once Kentucky beats them in the Elite Eight. But
possible.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are talking about Auburn's guards, which rightfully so.
Yeah.
They're fantastic. They can shoot the three better than anyone in the country. But you can't talk about guards in this matchup and not mention the tremendous talent of Kobe White and the other guards they have, along with the big men. And that's why I'm picking UNC to win this game. But like you guys say, this is the most intriguing matchup. I'd agree. And it's going to be a great matchup. It's going to be fun. It's going to be wild. It's going to be fast. It has the highest over-under out of all these games. And I wouldn't be surprised if it goes over. Because these two teams can flat out score. They do it in different ways.
They can flat out score, and they can score fast.
Correct.
These are not only two of the highest scoring teams in the country, two of the fastest teams in the country, like we already mentioned. This is if you like quick, high scoring, intense basketball, this is the game to park your butt on the couch for 2 hours, cancel all your plans, and watch this game because it's going to be something fun.
And another thing to point out is, we all three of us watched Auburn, New Mexico State, as mentioned earlier. The rookie mistakes that were made towards the end of that game to keep New Mexico State in it were just all over the place. My point is, when I watched them play against Kansas, I felt like a lot of those mistakes were eliminated. I didn't see a lot of those mistakes. I didn't see as much foul trouble and so on and so forth. My argument is this Auburn team is going to play to the level of their opponent, and I think against UNC, I'm really hoping that they do. And I think, like you guys said, it's going to be a close game. My hope is that Auburn pulls it off, stays out of foul trouble, three-point shot falls throughout the game. I mean, we talked about it earlier before the show, but that game is in Missouri. UNC always travels well, but Auburn will be there for that game. So I think it's going to be, it's definitely going to be a jam-packed game.
Yeah, and to add on to the importance of this game for us, if Auburn wins this game, I can't beat Josh.
Correct.
Because then he will be in front of me and I can't gain any more points off of him.
Correct.
But if North Carolina wins this game, I beat Josh.
Correct.
So it's going to be interesting.
It's coming down to the wire.
Yes.
Yeah. But you look at Auburn, like we really have talked a lot about Bryce Brown and Jared Harper, but what it's really going to come down to in this game for Auburn is they got to look at their bigs, Chuma Okeke and Austin Wiley. They're their third and fourth leading scorers.
Yeah.
They both have size. Okeke at 6'8", Wiley at 6'11". They're going to need to have a big interior presence in that game to slow down the size of UNC. Okeke and Wiley don't compare to what UNC has down low. I'm not even going to try to say that. but they just need to slow them down enough so that Brown and Harper can make the difference.
Correct. And Okiki can, on the pick and roll or the pick and pop, he can shoot threes too, so that also helps.
Correct.
That can help space out the defense of UNC, but they're going to have a tough time defending the big men of UNC.
Correct.
While
Brown and Harper will not be able to win this game on their own.
Correct.
Yeah, and I mean, they got Purifoy off the bench. You know, they do have options, but you guys are right. I mean, the big men up front for UNC outmatch Auburn. The question is, Auburn can't be dropping rebounds. They can't be giving up rebounds. So I understand they're not going to win the rebound battle most likely, but they need to do a good job of controlling what they can, and they can't make mistakes. They can't make too many turnovers. They have to keep this game clean, and if they're going to go get an offensive rebound, they better make it count, and if they're going to have a loose ball on the defensive end, they better go get it.
Correct. Okay, let's
So what are the games you guys interested in for the Sweet 16? What are some other games that have caught your eye?
Let's talk about Thursday's games first. Let's just go in chronological order. It's kind of interesting to see Florida State Gonzaga because these two teams matched up last year in the Sweet 16. All three of us have Gonzaga as our national champion, and I'd say of these teams left remaining, they've looked like one of the best teams. Obviously, Texas Tech, Purdue, Michigan have really played clean games, but Gonzaga has handled their business as the number 1 seed, and I like their chances. However, Florida State, as Mark Few said in his press conference after their game, Florida State is grossly underseeded.
Absolutely.
If they beat Duke in the ACC championship game, they would have been at least a 3 seed, possibly a 2. And I'm kind of worried because Florida State, we said this on our last podcast, I think. If Gonzaga can beat Syracuse, which they didn't have to, they had to beat Baylor, and then Florida State, we think they're going to win the Natty because after that, because Florida State
at least make it.
Yeah, or at least make it because Florida State
would give them trouble.
Florida State at least poses a challenge of depth and size because they play 10, 11, 12 deep.
Yeah.
And it's not like UCI where the players are like, they're good.
Yeah.
These players are great on Florida State.
For sure.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously the starting 5, Gonzaga's got they outmatch Florida State. But once they get to the bench and those players start getting tired later in the game, Florida State might bully them down deep. They might make some shots, stay tired, especially if this game goes to overtime.
Yeah.
Correct.
Gonzaga, they need to be on their A game in order to win this game.
What I'm watching in this game, though, for sure, yes, the bench is going to be something to look at, but I'm definitely watching Josh Perkins being matched up against Terrence Mann because Josh Perkins is the facilitator of this Gonzaga offense. He gets the job done for them when they need to get the job done. He's the one bringing the ball up the court for them. He's the one distributing the ball to whoever gets the ball on these possessions, like a true point guard should do. But Terrence Mann is a lockdown defender. He's one of the best defensive point guards in the country, and he can really slow down Josh Perkins. Last year, Josh Perkins only put up 9 points and 4 assists when they played in the Sweet 16. He's going to have to do much better this year for Gonzaga to advance to the Elite 8, and he's just going to have to do better this year. He's got to step up. He's got to be the leader that this team needs and get them to a win.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, as Don mentioned, their depth is really big, but it's at the most important spot. You know, if you have depth at the guard spot, it is helpful, but having depth at the forward and center position so that if guys get in foul trouble, you can just quickly sub them out, I think that helps Florida State. You know, we talk about location a lot. This game's at the Anaheim Honda Center, so I'm interested to see how that affects this game. But, you know, I think Gonzaga, they've been here before. I think they're the better team in this game. The question is, do they get in foul trouble? Because that's where the depth really makes a difference. You know, as you said, if Josh Perkins gets into big foul trouble, that could hinder them the rest of the game. As we saw with Tennessee, that's why that 25-point comeback happened, in part due to the foul trouble that happened with their star guys.
Yeah, and I mean, it's important to note the location. It's on the West Coast. Florida State, you know, it's in Florida.
Yeah.
It's on the East Coast. And last year, when Florida State was a 9 seed and they made the Elite 8, Florida State fans traveled because they said, hey, this team's good, they got a shot. So those fans that went out last year are going to be less motivated to come out this year because they've already been there. And that'll probably help Gonzaga a bit. Because this is the best Gonzaga team since the team that went to the national championship.
I would argue ever, but continue.
Yeah, that's what
it could be the best Gonzaga team Mark Few's ever had.
I agree.
The Gonzaga fans will have faith in this team. They'll believe in this team. I feel like they'll have a strong presence in Anaheim. If they can get through Florida State, I really, really, really like their chances against Texas Tech or Michigan.
For sure.
Because those two teams don't score. Gonzaga scores. And it's, obviously Buffalo scores, and Buffalo didn't have very much success against Texas Tech.
Look, you guys know I've been talking up Buffalo all year. Buffalo does not have the talent that Gonzaga has. It's not even comparable. Gonzaga gets matched up with Texas Tech. They're going to shoot him out of the water.
Correct. And I don't think Texas Tech or Michigan are really that good. Obviously, Texas Tech.
I like Texas Tech. I don't love Michigan as much, but I really like Texas Tech.
Yeah, but I think that the winner of the Florida State Gonzaga game should roll through the winner of the Texas Tech Michigan game.
For sure, and this matchup has a lot of implications as well. I don't have Michigan in my Final Four, but the emergence of some of their bench guys. They had a kid who was Mr. Basketball in the state of Michigan come in and just have a great dunk.
Livers.
Livers in their last game. He did a great job. They needed those guys to step up. They've done so at the right time. They got a great team there. I think Jordan Poole is going to be really key in this ball game, and everyone's been hyping him up this season. He's going to be big, but I want to see how Michigan plays the same way they played in their last game. They need to come out and have depth. Everyone needs to be scoring. I don't want to see them play the same way they did against Michigan State, where they falter in that second half. I think Texas Tech would take advantage.
I agree. But we talk a lot on the show about Vegas and the point spreads and all that stuff. Vegas right now has the closest game being the team that we have in the national championship, and the Tennessee Volunteers playing against Purdue and Carson Edwards. What do you guys think of that matchup?
Well, I think it's a good matchup because it's two teams with some veterans and some big guys. But I think that Vegas is seeing that Tennessee struggled late in the game against both Colgate and Iowa, and Purdue thrived against Old Dominion and Villanova. And so they said, well, we're still going to have Tennessee favored because they're the better team. But at the moment, Purdue's playing a little bit better basketball than Tennessee. That's what I look at it, but I still think that Tennessee is going to have time to game plan. They're going to be able to pound because, really, Purdue's almost like a two-man team with Carson Edwards and Matt Haarms.
Yeah.
Obviously,
you can say they're a one-man team. Carson Edwards is just a show on his own.
Yeah.
He put up 42 points against Villanova. Obviously, no disrespect to Carson Edwards. That's absolutely incredible. When a guy like that needs to put up 42 points to win the game, shows that the rest of the team can't really pick up.
Correct. But it's all you can't talk about Purdue without mentioning the fact they have a 7'3" center who's capable
of
putting the ball on the floor. So I think Tennessee can really use that full team that they have. They have 5 guys that average double digits, and I think that they can work Purdue. They can get them into foul trouble. They can get to their bench, and that's where Tennessee is going to control the game.
And you guys mentioned Carson Edwards. Jordan Bone's probably going to match up with him. I think that's safe to assume. So I really like that matchup. I think it's going to be interesting to see which guard takes over the game, which guard does better for their team. Another thing
I think we know that Carson Edwards is going to put up points. You can't question that. Carson Edwards is going to put up probably 20 in this game at least, but Bone's got to slow him down enough.
Yeah.
The same thing I said about, when was it that I was talking about slowing something down? I can't even remember anymore. But it was in the Auburn UNC game with the big guys. It's not about shutting them down, because you can't do it. There are some players that are too good to just be shut down.
It's like Zion.
Correct. Yeah. You can't shut down a Zion Williamson or Carson Edwards or the UNC bigs. You just got to slow them down enough for you to win your favorable matchup.
Yeah, but my thing is Carson Edwards, I watched him play a little bit more in the regular season. He has games that are streaky. So my point is, if they zone correctly or if they game plan correctly and Carson Edwards goes cold, it's going to be really tough for Purdue to win this game based on the fact that, Edwards put up 42 against Villanova. Tennessee, on the other hand, has an issue because, the Admiral can't be in foul trouble. That's an issue for them. They played Iowa. Iowa played a great game against Tennessee.
Played a great second half.
Yeah, second half. My point is, though, you can't always rely on sitting the Admiral Schofield for a half almost, and still expect to win. So they need to keep him out of foul trouble. I think Grant Williams is going to be there as usual. I think this team is a really good team, but the question is, can they play 40 straight minutes of good basketball and extend their lead? But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that point spread, but I understand where Vegas is coming from.
Correct, but I think that if I'm in Vegas, I'm still putting money on Tennessee. I really love this Tennessee team.
Yeah.
They really just have the depth and the leadership and the guys that can just score. There's so many guys who can put points on the board that if one's cold, you can just go to another one. It's like we saw in that Gonzaga game the other day.
Yep.
It was Brandon Clark who put up 36 points.
Exactly.
When one guy is hot, you just got to feed the guy. If one guy turns on for Tennessee, of these 5 guys, they're going to win. Yep. And they have so many options who can just flip the on switch and just go crazy for 30-something points. And that's what you need to win this game.
Yeah, who does the winner of this game play? Because that's a very intriguing matchup. The second matchup, the number 1 seed Virginia and their fantastic defense against the 12-seeded Oregon.
I want to pick Oregon just to make things interesting, just to have a fun team in the Elite Eight. Virginia is always going to come out there well coached. I just think they've had some struggles in their last 2 games a little bit. They've had to overcome a little bit of adversity. Oregon, it's really down to them. Not again, the theme, not getting in foul trouble and hitting their threes like they did. I mean, we watched it last night in agony at the amount of threes they were hitting against UCI.
Just awkward threes.
Yeah.
They had that one bank that you just knew when they hit it was game over. But look, everyone knows that I hate picking the chalk. I love watching that great upset come in the back. Those kids who didn't expect to go this far are just sitting here going crazy like, how in the world did this just happen? This is a miracle. But I look at this game and I'm like, it doesn't feel right. Virginia is out here with something to prove. They had a ridiculous loss last year against UMBC. They got a little scared against Gardner-Webb. Dom got a little scared against Gardner-Webb.
I got super scared.
But they handled business there. They handled business against Oklahoma. And now they got to handle business against Oregon, and I think they're going to get the job done. They're out here proving that, look, it was one fluke. We're ready to come in here and win a national championship. I don't think they're going to win a national championship, but they think that they're capable of doing this, and they're out here trying to prove everyone wrong, and I don't see them getting stopped by Oregon.
Familiar territory, too, that game in Kentucky.
If they lose to a heavy hitter like a Tennessee next round, which I think will happen, then that's respectable. You lost to a team that was sitting at number 1 in the nation at one point in the year. Look, you lose some.
Yeah.
You can't lose to Oregon.
I agree with you. And, I don't know how well Oregon's going to be represented at that game, but
not.
Yeah, I tell you what, if they hit their threes, anything can happen. They shot great against UC Irvine after that cold stretch of about 5-8 minutes.
It was 7.5 minutes.
7.5 minutes. So, I mean, moving on.
Well, real quick.
Okay, yeah.
I would like to pick Oregon in this game.
Really?
I agree with you.
Because they are, you guys can disagree with me, they're the hottest team in this tournament.
No.
They're the only team left in this tournament that had to win to get in.
Yep.
They had to beat Arizona State, who was a tournament team. They came back from behind to beat Arizona State. They had to beat Washington, who was a tournament team. Then they had to beat Wisconsin, who is the second best Big Ten, and has been a great team all year to move on. Then they had to hold off UCI, and they're just hot. They can score, and they can play defense.
Yep.
UVA can play defense. I like Oregon's chance in this game. I think they're going to win. You can call me crazy. People have done it all the time. I like Oregon's chance in this game, and I think they're going to win.
Look, Oregon's hot right now. There's no arguing that. They've won a lot of games recently to get to where they are right now. But you always see these upset teams, these big name teams, coming in, ready to play this upset team, and they just handle business. Like, you saw with, for example, Loyola Chicago last year. They had a good win against Tennessee. They did. They beat a 3 seed, and then they had an easier path to the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8, and they got to the Final Four and played Michigan, and they got destroyed.
They were winning a half.
They got destroyed in the second
Loyola
half.
Chicago was winning a half.
Yeah.
Okay, Oregon could be winning at halftime. Great. They would get destroyed in the second half.
Okay.
I just don't see it. Every time the Cinderella upset team comes in ready to pull off the big, oh my god, I can't believe this one just happened, even after these ones win, it just doesn't happen.
Peyton Pritchard.
Yeah.
It's going to make the
Pritchard
difference.
is good.
They've got
Peyton Pritchard is really good. But you know who else is really good? Kyle Guy. And Ty Jerome. And DeAndre Hunter.
DeAndre Hunter, yeah.
And the kid whose name I can't pronounce.
Diakite.
He's
Dennis
pretty
Rodman
darn good.
Jr.
Uh-huh. They have a good team there. I think they'll get slowed down by Tennessee in the next round, but I don't see them losing to Oregon. I just don't see it.
Yeah, man, I think we all hope Oregon comes out because
I hope so.
I would love to see it. I think it
what
would
we
be
have.
awesome.
Because that's what we have. It's hard not to root for the Bone, the Admiral, and the Alien.
Yep.
But I mean, why not root for Oregon?
I would love to see it.
Not a single person in our pool is Oregon going Elite Eight.
Correct.
So why not root for them? Because some people have UVA going Final Four. Some people have them winning.
I would love to see it. I just don't see it.
Okay, I mean Oregon's gonna have today, tomorrow, Wednesday to prepare for Oregon. I like their chances.
I do too. I mean,
it's going to be an interesting one.
I don't think it's going to be an 8-point game. Let me just say that.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be
Virginia doesn't win big.
Yeah.
Virginia doesn't win big. I'd pick Oregon with an 8.5-point spread for sure, but I think Virginia's going to win this game. And like we said earlier when we were talking about this Auburn-UNC game, if you love those fast, high-scoring games, that's the game for you to watch. If you love low-scoring defensive basketball, park your butt on the couch at 6:30 on Thursday to watch Michigan, Texas Tech, and Oregon, Virginia. Those are going to be some low-scoring games. We got over-unders of 125 and 118. Those could both go under.
Definitely.
And that would just be remarkable to see.
Mm-hmm. So, now towards some of the Friday games. I know for you guys have Kentucky in your Final Four. For me, I'm really hoping that doesn't happen. So, Houston came off a great win. They're playing Kentucky now. So Houston beat Ohio State. Now they're playing Kentucky, who shut down Fletcher McGee and Wofford. How do you guys think that game's going to go down?
Kentucky's going to work Houston inside, and they're going to crush Houston. They're going to crush them.
It depends on if P.J. Washington comes back.
Yeah.
P.J. Washington needs to be back for Kentucky. I think if P.J. does come back, not only could this team beat Houston, I really think this team could win the national championship.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, I'm personally rooting for Houston, just to hope that happens. But I mean, looking at the line, they have Kentucky winning by 2.5 points. So obviously something's got to be close. What is your route for Houston to win? How are they going to win this game?
Get the bigs in foul trouble.
Shoot the lights out.
Yeah, and then shoot.
I mean, I must say, you know, watching Kentucky-Wofford game was close for a while, you know, but Reed Travis is a problem. And imagine him with P.J. Washington together, it's very dangerous.
Such an incredible duo for Kentucky there.
Yep.
And you rarely see a great big duo for Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
And you never, ever see a great big duo for Kentucky that has experience. Reed Travis is a grad transfer, and PJ is a sophomore, I believe. They are both experienced in this tournament, and they both are so good. I really think they can pull this one off and more.
For sure. I mean, you know, you got Auburn, UNC, Houston, Kentucky. I think you got a really fun group down there in that side. How about the LSU-Michigan State game? I think LSU surprised a lot of people. You know, they didn't have their coach. They came out, beat Maryland by 2. I was stuck in the car, couldn't see the finish, got it spoiled in the group chat. Uh-huh. But I tell you what, LSU's played great. They got depth. Do they beat Michigan State? Because to me, you know, I had Michigan State. I think we all did in our Elite Eight playing Duke, just like most people with the chalk.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we said LSU's a dangerous team. They come out here against Michigan State. I mean, I think if they shut down Cassius Winston, the game's theirs.
Here's the thing. I'm just going to come out and say this. Had LSU not lost Will Wade, not only would I be picking them to pick Michigan State, I'd be picking them to beat Duke.
Correct. Because it would have been a 2 seed.
Correct.
And that's where the matchup comes into hand here. Mm-hmm. Because I think we could all sit here and say that LSU is a little more talented than Michigan State. However, in the coaching department, Michigan State destroys LSU.
And the coaching department is so important when you have this long to prepare for the game.
And a close
game, too. You're looking at Tom Izzo, and you're looking... Who even is coaching LSU now?
Who knows?
I don't even know who this guy is. Like, it doesn't even matter.
Hey, he must be doing something right if they're winning 2 games. But that's the thing. Gonna find a head coaching job somewhere.
When you have a day and a half to prepare for a game, talent prevails. When you have 5 days to prepare for a game, coaching prevails, unless the talent's just ridiculously different, which we saw with LSU and Yale. But when you look at this matchup between LSU and Michigan State, I do think LSU is the more talented team. But, I mean, come on, Tom Izzo. I don't even like Tom Izzo that much. But it's Tom Izzo against this dude. I mean...
this dude.
Come on. Michigan State's going to take this one.
Yeah. I agree. I think the 6-point spread for a 2-3 game is actually quite appropriate.
Yeah.
And I like Michigan State. I don't think they'll handle LSU, but it'll be a game that is not like with a couple minutes left. You'll be like, okay, Michigan State's gonna win this game.
Yeah, I think it'll be close at halftime because I think
LSU's gonna come out inspired.
Is gonna come out inspired, and they're gonna put up some points, and then Izzo's just gonna make that halftime adjustment, and they're gonna pull away.
Yeah, I think, I'd love to see Cassius Winston go get 10 assists in this game. I think he really...
That kid can ball.
He for sure can play, and...
That kid knows how to play basketball better than anyone else in this tournament.
And
that kid knows what he is doing.
When you think about it, we all know basketball is a game of runs. You see it the most in college basketball. We've watched the runs in so many of our games just shift. Tennessee blowing 25-point lead, so on and so forth. I think LSU... either starts out of the gate with a big lead or they come back. Michigan State, I really like their defense. I think they're going to come out with this one. But to be honest, it doesn't matter for my pool. So I'm not too worried about this game. And then I think, Virginia Tech Duke.
Same exact thing. I think you look at this matchup, and when you got 5 days to prepare for this game, you going with Mike Krzyzewski, arguably the greatest coach in the history of basketball?
Yep.
Or you going with Buzz Williams?
Dude, Buzz is a god.
Justin Robinson back. That was huge for them. He's a key guy. Ty Outlaw. He can shoot
knock him down.
Sure.
He can knock him down. But, I mean,
Tech's beat him before. Tech's beat him before. So, what's to say they can't do it again?
You got 5 days to prepare for this game. And not only do you have Zion and RJ, you have Mike Krzyzewski. And that's it. And that's all you need.
That's it.
That's all you need. That's all you need.
I think Kerry Blackshear's going to dominate in the low post. I think Virginia Tech's going to upset Duke.
I would love nothing more than to see Virginia Tech upset Duke.
Correct. And as my dad was an alumni at that school, I think that would be pretty awesome to have my dad screaming in the car as I'm driving out to Arizona State this weekend. But I think Virginia Tech has a very good shot at beating Duke because Duke looked very shaky against UCF. They don't recruit.
Yeah.
They don't recruit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Virginia Tech has great players. Kerry Blackshear, Outlaw, Robinson, Alexander Walker.
Yep.
I think they're a better overall team than Duke. I think they can win this game.
The thing about this Duke thing is that you had a day and a half to prepare for UCF. And UCF is a very unconventional basketball team. They do a lot of things weird. I mean, how often do you see a guy who's 7'7" playing basketball?
Exactly.
Not that often.
Yeah.
You can't prepare for Taco Fall in a day and a half.
Correct.
If they had 5 days to prepare for him, I think they would have wiped the floor with this team. But you look at 5 days to prepare for a team they've already played against.
Yeah.
Twice. I mean, I just think the Krzyzewski's going to know what he's doing here. He's going to know how to beat this team after playing them twice, and we're going to see Duke.
You know, for me, this game is really interesting because I'd like Virginia Tech to win this game. I think all three of us can agree. We'd love to see Virginia Tech win this game.
No one wants to see Duke advance.
Now,
they should have not advanced.
Yeah, I agree. I think it should have been Virginia Tech UCF. Now, my point is, if I'm Virginia Tech, I have 5 days to watch that film of Duke against UCF. Now, you can't use all of it. As you mentioned, Taco Fall is a huge difference. But I saw a lot of issues with this Duke team, especially depth-wise, and we've gone over that a little bit. When I watch a guy...
a lot. We've always said this is a 2.5-man team.
Jordan Goldwire comes off the bench for Duke.
Was that the guy that wouldn't shoot the ball?
He's in a 2-3 zone, and I swear
he
was instructed not to shoot.
Yeah.
No matter what. He just kept dribbling inside the 2-3, the exact soft spot, and refused to shoot the basketball. To me, that's a bad sign.
Hysterical.
That's a bad sign.
Because
Virginia Tech has depth.
Zion Williamson and R.J. Barrett.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes Cam Reddish when they choose to pass the ball to him when he's wide open at the 3-point line.
Yes.
And,
Trey Jones can play defense.
Both teams have rest. I don't see that as an issue. Location, Washington, D.C.
Virginia Tech's going to have a huge crowd
Virginia Tech will have a huge
First
crowd.
ever Sweet 16, 2 hours up the road.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have a nice
They're going to be a huge crowd.
I think we're going to see another version of the UCF Duke game. I think we're going to see something come down to the wire. I predict Duke gets lucky and they sneak out of here. But I'm really hoping Virginia Tech can shoot the ball well, play like they did when they beat Duke. That'd be wonderful to see Virginia Tech in the Elite Eight.
Yes, because once Duke loses, all those junkies that don't know crap about basketball that are in our pool,
they become donators.
Yeah, they become donators to the superior minded. Not calling us superior minded, everyone's equal, but
except that they're not.
When it comes to basketball, we've known all year long that Duke's a 2.5-man team.
Yep.
That half comes when Cam Reddish decides to actually shoot, and when he's not in foul trouble like he was against UCF.
For sure.
Like I said, I like Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
I just don't see it when you have this good of a coach.
Again, 7.5 points.
I don't think. I would take Virginia Tech with the spread.
Yeah.
I don't think Duke's going to win this game by 7.5 points. I just don't think they have enough depth to cover this Virginia Tech team. But come on, it's Zion Williamson and R.J. Barrett with the best coach in the history of basketball playing a team they already played and having 5 days to prepare for it. I just don't see this one happening. I just don't see it. I'd love to. I'd love to think Virginia Tech can win this game. But I just don't think they can. I don't see it.
I'm interested in the 3-point shooting. A lot of these games come down to 3-point shooting, foul trouble, rebounding.
You know who shoots the 3-ball really well?
Virginia
Tech.
Shoot the ball well.
I see it.
Yeah.
I see it. I see Duke knocking off Virginia Tech and Oregon knocking off UVA. Those are my 2 upsets for the Sweet 16.
Yeah. I mean,
I'd love to see them.
Virginia Tech and Oregon knocking down 2 number 1 seeds. Like we said, all those Duke brackets fall to pieces. All those Duke brackets fall to pieces. So, I mean, it's going to be really interesting for me. As I've mentioned before, that Auburn game's all I care about. All I care about. Other than the Gonzaga and Tennessee. But I think those are. I think they'll be able to handle their own.
Yes. So I mean, we'll know if we stand a chance at winning our money or winning our pool on
there's no money involved.
Thursday afternoon. We'll know Thursday afternoon if Gonzaga and both Tennessee win. But if that happens, then the game Friday afternoon with Auburn, North Carolina is the game that matters most.
Absolutely.
Oh, for sure.
So before we wrap things up, I just want to ask you guys one question. We're now here in the Sweet 16, and obviously our brackets are not perfect. There's one that's perfect, which I think is remarkable. Just need to mention it. That dude, mad respect to the dude who has a perfect bracket.
I know another kid who has a perfect bracket. It's just
but it's on paper. It's on paper, right?
Yeah.
So you can make one change to your bracket. I'm not saying something that's already happened. I'm saying now that we're here in the Sweet 16, if you could say, you know what, maybe I don't think Gonzaga is going to win anymore. You know what, maybe I don't think Tennessee is going to make the national championship, something like that. What would you want to change?
Virginia Tech Final Four.
Really?
Yes.
You're siding with Jake here.
I am siding with Jake. I think he looks like a genius right now.
Okay.
I didn't have the balls to do it earlier. I thought I'd sat there and I'm like,
yeah.
Like, do I want to do it? Wednesday night, I'm looking there and I'm like, do I want to do it? And
Jake took a nice risk and put Virginia Tech in the Final Four with his North Carolina winning bracket. Who did he have North Carolina beating in the national championship game?
Whoever's coming out of the South. So probably.
I think he had Michigan.
Probably Michigan. Here, I'll look it up. I'll look it up right now while you guys talk about your.
But that was obviously a very, very risky pick to take because once Duke advances, those are essentially free points that you're not getting that everyone else is going to have. But if Virginia Tech wins that game, boy, does Jake look smart.
He had UNC beating Gonzaga.
He had UNC beating Gonzaga. Okay.
So I'm going to go with that same region. I'm not going to pick Virginia Tech because that's already taken. I'm going to go with LSU Final Four. That's the one I want back. I think.
But didn't you just say Michigan State was going to beat LSU?
But man, we're talking about LSU. No one's picked them to go to the Final Four. For me, I think that's the perfect hedge. I think LSU, maybe they find a chance to pull it off. I think for me, and that's why I picked Gonzaga. Everyone's picking Duke, UNC, Tennessee. Yeah, they could win it all. But for me, I felt Gonzaga was the safest bet. Here, I would pick LSU. I had LSU losing to Yale, so obviously I'd collect a lot of points and I'd take that back.
You know what? I think we all really like that region. I'm going to stay in that region.
Michigan State to the Final Four.
Michigan State to the Final Four. Like I said,